Bible teacher today, Brother Jared. And reading for us today is Brother Rashad. And today we're going to get this started in Genesis 13, and we're going to take it from the top. And, and the title of today's lesson is going to be From Jehovah to Jesus under the order of Melchizedek. From Jehovah to Jesus under the order of what? Melchizedek. And we're going to try to start it from way back in the beginning, not the Genesis 1 beginning, but we're going to take it all the way back to the first book and walk down some identifying factors of who this individual is and how you can identify him by what he's already done in the New Testament and what he's going to do even beyond today. So, from Jehovah to Jesus under the order of Melchizedek, let's go ahead to Genesis chapter 13 and pick this up. Genesis 13 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife,
right,
and all that he had,
right,
and Lot with him went to the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle.
Now, the whole reason why he's doing this is because in Genesis chapter 12, the Lord told Abram to get away from his land and from his people. I'm going to send you to another land. So in Genesis 13, you're seeing him up and leaving. In other words, in being obedient. Go ahead.
In silver and in gold.
So he was rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. Go ahead.
And he went on his journeys from the south and even to Bethel.
Jump down to verse 12. Because I want to see where he went. Verse 12. Go ahead.
Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan. And Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain. And pitched his tent toward Sodom.
Right, so he dwelled in Canaan. But jump down to verse 14 because I want to hit some of the main points because we have some other places we have to go. Go ahead and hit verse 14.
And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him.
Right.
Lift up thine eyes.
Right.
And look from the place where thou art northward.
Right.
And southward.
So from where you are, look north, south, east, and west. In other words, look all the way around you, 360 degrees. Go ahead.
And eastward.
Right.
And westward.
Right.
For all the land which thou seest to see, to thee will I give.
Right.
And to thy seed forever.
So I'm planning to give you a land grant. This is land inheritance, but it says, I'm going to give it to you and to thy seed. For how long? Forever. That's the one verse, the one word you need to understand that this is forever. Go ahead and hit verse 16.
And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth.
Right.
So that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered.
Right. Go ahead.
Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it.
Right.
For I will give it unto thee.
Right.
Then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre,
right,
which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord.
So the Lord explained to Abram, or to Abraham, the location of the land that he's going to inherit, and you'll see him walking through, and he's building an altar to the Lord there. But let's go directly to Genesis 14, because right here, this is one of the main cruxes that we need to hit, but it ties to another spot in the Old Testament. But we need to show what happened in the New Testament, which fulfills or verifies the Old Testament. Go ahead and pick up at Genesis 14 and verse 14. When you get there, go ahead and read. Because right now, this is between God and Abram. God and Abram, two individuals. Go ahead.
And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive,
right,
he armed his trained servants,
right,
born in his own house,
right,
318,
right,
and pursued them unto Dan.
So just because he's serving the Lord doesn't mean he's a pushover. So he sees that someone took someone from his own family, he's going to go and fight and try to rescue them. Go ahead.
And he divided himself against them,
right,
he and his servants,
right,
by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah,
right,
which is on the left of Damascus.
Right. In other words, he stood up for his people. Go ahead.
And he bought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot,
right,
and his goods,
right,
and the women also, and the people.
In other words, he saved all the people, and he obtained all their possessions. In other words, they didn't lose nothing. This is very similar to what ended up happening to King David at one point. But go ahead.
And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer.
And because the king of Sodom couldn't achieve what Abraham achieved. Go ahead.
And of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh,
right,
which is in the king's den.
Right, go ahead.
And Melchizedek.
Now, verse 18 is the verse that you need to highlight. And Melchizedek, go ahead.
King of Salem.
King of Salem. Salem means peace. But Salem is short for the word Jerusalem. So if someone is the king of Salem, the king of Jerusalem, go ahead.
Brought forth bread and wine.
There's someone that's bringing forth some bread and wine, go ahead.
And he was the priest of
And he was also a priest. So he is a king of Salem and a priest, or in other words, a king priest. Go ahead.
of the Most High God.
Now, of who?
The Most High
Of the
God.
Most High God, of the Father. Someone is a king priest of Jerusalem, but is also a priest of the Father. Go ahead and hit verse 19. Let's hear what he has to say.
And he blessed him and said,
Now, Abraham didn't bless Melchizedek. Melchizedek blessed Abraham. Go ahead.
Blessed be Abram of the Most High God,
Right.
possessor of heaven and earth.
Go ahead.
And blessed be the Most High God,
And blessed be the Most High God. Go ahead.
which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave them tithes of all.
And Abraham gave Melchizedek tithes of all. Because he's tithing, in other words, showing respect to the one that delivered this victory unto him. Even though it was Melchizedek said that the Father of the Most High had delivered the enemies into Abraham's hand. Y'all get that? Okay. Let's, is that the end of verse 20?
That was the 20.
End of verse 20. Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's go to Genesis 15 and pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read it, because I want to hear more about this land. Genesis 15 and verse 1, we found a king of some land that was a priest of the Most High, and we heard that Abraham was promised some land. He's going to get it forever. Now let's hear more about this land in Genesis 15 verse 1. Go ahead and hit it.
After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in the vision, saying,
Right.
Fear not, Abram.
Right.
I am thy shield,
Right.
and thy exceeding great reward.
Now that should be a message or a word of edification for us today, because even though we are not in our own land, like Abram was not in his own land, he was still good. He had much cattle, much gold, much silver, and he even knew how to go out to war against his enemies. That's why he said, fear not, because I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. That's even talking about the future. Go ahead.
And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me?
What are you going to give me? Go ahead.
Seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is Eliezer of Damascus.
Right. In other words, I don't have any children. I just have people that are servicing my house. Go ahead and hit verse 3. In other words, if I'm going to be following you, what is my pay? What is my pay? What is my salary? He's saying what he currently has as far as inheritance. But go to verse 3.
And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir.
Now, nowadays, you have some people, if they can't have children, they try blaming it on the woman. But Abraham understood who has the power over the womb. He said, you have given me no seed. Go ahead.
And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir.
This is not going to be your heir, or the one that's going to inherit the blessing I'm going to give you. Go ahead.
But he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir.
Someone that's going to come out of your own bowels. Go ahead.
And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be.
So he's pointing to the celestial bodies, or in the heavenly sphere. So he's saying, if you can count the stars in the firmament, he's like, this is the number of the heirs that you are about to have, even though it looks like you don't have nothing. Go ahead.
And he believed in the Lord.
What did he just do? He believed. That's one of the big indications that separated Abraham from a lot of other people. Because he believed what he heard in Genesis chapter 12, so he went out and did something in Genesis chapter 13. And then when the Lord comes back in Genesis 15 and tells him what he's about to do, even though it seems impossible, he did what? Believe. Now you can understand why he's the father of the faithful. Go ahead.
And he counted it to him for righteousness.
So just because you believe is counted to you for righteousness. So we don't understand. The book says, I'm the Lord God, not change not. So if you hear the word, or if you hear what God has to say to you, and you do one thing, believe, what would be counted unto you for? For righteousness. Go ahead. And
he said unto him.
Actually, that's the end of verse 6. Okay, let's go ahead and jump to verse 18. I want 18.
In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land.
So he told him about some seed he's going to have, but now he's going to speak on the inheritance that the seed that has not come forth is going to have. Go ahead.
From the rivers of Egypt unto the great river, the river of Euphrates.
So I've already given to them this land, even though Isaac hasn't been born yet. It says from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. That's over in what we call modern day Iraq. Well, go ahead. Let's end in verse 18. Let's keep going. Let's go to Exodus chapter 3 now. Because when Abraham was around, he had a son named Isaac, and Isaac had a son named Jacob and a son named Esau. So Abraham knew of his sons Jacob and Esau, but he had no idea that Jacob would have 12 sons. In other words, he's going to start increasing his numbers through him. But he also had many nations. That's why even Esau had 12 dukes. And you had Ishmael had 12 princes, but you had the 12 patriarchs, or the fathers of the word, come through Jacob. Go ahead and pick it up at Exodus chapter 3, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law.
Right? So we were all the way down to Moses, right? We're skipping over a lot to hit some main points. Go ahead.
The priest of Midian.
The priest of Midian, go ahead.
And he led the flock to the backside of the desert. And came to the mountain of God. Right? Even to Horeb.
Even to Horeb. That's also known as Sinai. Hit verse 2.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush.
Right? So it's an angel that's appearing as a fire, because all his ministering spirits are flames of fire. Go ahead.
And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire.
Right?
And the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight.
Right?
Why the bush is not burnt.
So I'm going to investigate, but jump to verse 6.
Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father.
Because Moses is saying that this is what he's hearing come from the bush. The angel is bringing these words, the angel is bringing these words verbatim directly from Jesus, or the God of the Old Testament. Go ahead.
The God of Abraham.
I'm the God of Abraham.
The God of Isaac. And the God of Jacob.
That's right. Go ahead.
And Moses hid his face.
So there's no confusion. He showed the connection from Abraham all the way down to Moses. There's no break. Go ahead.
For he was afraid to look upon God.
He was afraid to look upon God, but this was the angel speaking as a representative or a messenger of God. Now let's jump down to verse 13. Because he has a message for him, because now he's just trying to get some information about this God that he's trying to deal with. Go ahead and hit verse 13.
And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers hath sent me unto you.
Right.
And they shall say to me, What is his name?
Right.
What shall I say unto them?
So now he's thinking, well, if I'm going to carry this mission, I'm going to have to tell this other people. And when I tell other people, they're going to ask me a bunch of questions. So how do I prepare to answer the questions that they're going to ask me? Because you asked me to be a servant of you. Go ahead.
And God said unto Moses, I am that I am.
So that's the only answer he received. I am that I am. Go ahead. And which is not a name. This is a declaration that he is. Go ahead.
And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am has sent me unto you.
Exactly. So the children of Israel are going to get more the more that they believe, the more that they follow. They're getting more information from that. But right now, just focus on I am. Go ahead.
And God said, moreover, unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations.
Unto all generations. But now we're going to get some more information about this individual, because even though he says, I am that I am, he's going to expound some more info as we get introduced to him some more. Let's go to Exodus chapter 6, and let's pick it up at verse 1. Exodus chapter 6 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Then the Lord said unto Moses, Now shalt thou see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand shall he let them go. And with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land.
That's right. Go ahead.
And God spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am the Lord.
I am, because he said, I am that I am, right? I am the Lord. Go ahead.
And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac.
So I'm going to give you some revelation about what happened in the past. I appeared unto Abraham, go ahead.
Unto Isaac, and unto Jacob. By the name of God Almighty.
By the name of God Almighty. But let me give you some more insight. Go ahead.
But by my name Jehovah, was I not known to them.
By my name Jehovah was I not known unto them. So if there's a group of individuals saying that they are witnesses for Jehovah, then why when I open up their book do I find the word Jehovah all through Genesis? In other words, before he said, I didn't reveal his name unto them. By my name Jehovah was I not known unto them. Let's go ahead and hit verse 4.
And I have also established my covenant with them. To give them the land of Canaan.
Because there was a covenant already in existence before before Moses was born. So I have established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan. Go ahead.
The land of their pilgrimage.
Where they resided. Go ahead.
Wherein they were strangers.
They weren't even the ones that really originally inhabited the land. They were considered strangers in this land. But go ahead and jump down. No, that's the end of that. That's the end of verse 4. Let's go to Exodus 19. Exodus 19, let's take a little bit further. So he's introduced himself further and further and further, but we understood from Genesis 14 that he was under the order of Melchizedek. It said Melchizedek, king of Salem. But then, which is a position, it's not a name. Melchizedek is a position like president or prime minister. But then you understood that he said, I am that I am. And then he turned around and told him that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did not know me by my name Jehovah. I'm revealing things to you as time goes on. Now go to Exodus 19 and pick up at verse 3. Exodus 19 and verse 3, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And Moses went up unto God.
Right.
And the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying,
right.
Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel,
right.
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings.
In other words, he's saying, look at my pedigree. Look at what I've done. Let my work speak for me. Go ahead.
And brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed.
If you're going to obey my voice, go ahead.
And keep my covenant.
And keep this agreement, go ahead.
Then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people.
Go ahead.
All the earth is mine.
Go ahead.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
And you're going to be unto me a kingdom of priests. Go ahead.
And an holy nation.
And a holy nation. Go ahead.
These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
You tell them the terms of this agreement. But go down to verse 9.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee.
Right, and that's exactly what happened when, in Exodus chapter 20, when the cloud was covering the mountain, and they heard the lightnings and the thunders and the earthquakes and everything. But he says, hit verse 9 from the top. I want to point something out. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
right,
Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud.
I'm coming unto you in a thick cloud. Go ahead.
That the people may hear when I speak with thee.
That the people may hear when I speak with you. Go ahead.
And believe thee forever.
And then, when I do this, they are going to believe you forever. Because this whole time, he had to figure out, so when I go back and I tell some guy spoke to me, what is his name? What am I going to tell them? He said, don't worry, I got that covered. When I come down, they're going to believe you forever. Go ahead.
And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord.
Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow.
Clean them up today and tomorrow. Go ahead.
And let them wash their clothes.
Let's jump all the way down to verse 21. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through the Lord to gains, and many of them perish.
Now, throughout this whole exchange, you're seeing Moses being the mediator, the one that's going, getting the words from God, bringing it to the people. Get the word from God, bring it to the people. He was just being an obedient vessel. Go ahead, and now he tells us to make sure that the people don't come on this side of the mountain trying to glance at God when he shows up, because they're going to end up dying. Here, verse 22.
And let the priests also, which come near to the Lord,
and let the priests, the people also that come near to the Lord, go ahead,
sanctify themselves.
Clean yourself up. You trying to come near the Lord? Start cleaning yourself up. Go ahead.
Lest the Lord break forth upon them.
Lest the Lord break forth upon them. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the Lord, The people cannot come up out of Mount Sinai.
Right, so the people have the ability, but he said, I've done something because you gave me a message, so now it's going to prevent them from breaking your commandments. Go ahead.
For thou chargest us.
Because you already charged us. Go ahead.
Saying, set bounds about the mount and sanctify it.
Right, so I already set up some kind of boundary to restrict them from coming up. So I've already handled what you had told me in the first place. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto him, Away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priest and the people break through to come up unto the Lord. In other words, get down, finish and everything set up, and I want y'all to come back up. Go ahead, because the show's getting ready to start. Go ahead. Lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people and spake unto them.
He carried the message. Now let's go directly into the next chapter, verse 1. Exodus 20 and verse 1. Because this is when we understand that the covenant of the Ten Commandments came from, but we have to understand what's being said here. Go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God.
Now, verse 2. What was the very first thing ahead, he said the first two words, I am. So he's identifying himself that I'm the one that turned around and told Moses to go down and get you ready for this big event. I'm the one that told Moses to let you know y'all are going to get delivered because they didn't want to believe. So now when they hear, not from Moses, but from God himself, I am. Oh, okay, no, Moses is right. We should have believed him this whole time. Go ahead.
Which has brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
That which has brought you out of the land of Egypt. In other words, I did this. It's not to Moses' credit. It's to his credit. Go ahead.
Out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
And then, so he goes and walks down the Ten Commandments. We don't have the Ten Commandments today. We have other times unless we can hit that. But I'm just showing the introduction that he makes upon man, specifically the children of Israel after they've been delivered. Now, let's go into Exodus 28, because he's going to start having to do some more things. Exodus chapter 28. Slowly but slowly revealing himself. Exodus 28, and we're going to pick this up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read. We're going to hit verse 1, then we're going to skip. Actually, 1 through 3. Go ahead.
And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him,
right,
from among the children of Israel.
But we've already had the entire priesthood set up, which was all 12 tribes, was called priests. But do this, take Aaron thy brother and his sons, go ahead,
that he may minister unto them in the priesthood.
That they minister not unto them,
unto me.
Because minister means to serve. We are not to be service unto Aaron's sons. Aaron's sons are supposed to be service or ministers unto God. We got to get the order right. Go ahead.
That he may minister unto me,
right,
in the priest's office.
In the priest's office. Go ahead.
Even Aaron,
right,
Nadab, and Abihu.
Yep.
Eleazar, and Ithamar,
yep,
Aaron's sons.
So I'm going to use them to minister in the priest's office because these are the priests within the priest. Go ahead.
And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother,
right,
for glory and for beauty.
Right. Now Aaron had to have particular garments made. They were called the high priest garments. But then you have to have garments made for all the other priests. Is that the end of verse 2?
2.
Hit 3. Go ahead.
And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom.
Whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom. Go ahead.
That they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office.
Right. It's at the end of verse. Yeah, it's at the end of verse 3. Perfect. Now jump to verse 43. So, and he walks down, I wanted to have this, I want to have that, all these different artifacts. I want to have the 2 onyx stones. I want the ephod. I want these set in ounces of gold. I want the chain holding the breastplate. All these different things that are about his outfit, but you have to understand that Aaron was not the original priest. Was not the original high priest. It was Melchizedek that was the original high priest. That's why everything that this priesthood got, they took it or they inherited or it was lent out to them from Melchizedek, the original, or Jehovah that we read. That's another name of his, right? So let's go ahead and jump down to verse 43. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons,
right,
when they come into the tabernacle of the congregation.
So all this clothing, because you weren't supposed to just wear this out in the streets. That's why when we see all these Hebrews on the street corners in Chinatown, D.C., what you wearing priest garments out in the streets? This was for a specific reason. You're supposed to wear this when you go in the tabernacle. Go ahead.
Or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place.
Well, are they going near unto the altar? No, they're out there outside with a speaker. Why are you wearing these garments? Because it was meant for a specific reason. Here's the reason why they don't know what fringes are made for. This is for the remembrance of the commandments. And if you don't understand what it's made for, then why are you wearing them? And if you don't understand that the Holy Spirit in John chapter 14, verse 26 is supposed to bring the commandments or whatever the Lord said to your remembrance, then why are you firing the Holy Spirit from his job and trying to use a garment to take over the Holy Spirit's job? You have to understand everything in its proper order. So these garments are only supposed to be made when they go in the tabernacle. In other words, a tabernacle has not been made. I'm giving you the garments ready, so that way when the tabernacle is made, you are prepared to go inside. Go ahead.
That they bear not iniquity.
That they bear not iniquity. Go ahead.
And die.
And die. In other words, they're supposed to be getting cleaned up before they get ready to go deal with God. Right. Go ahead. That's why he said, let the priest sanctify himself, let the Lord break forth upon them. Go ahead.
It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him.
Unto him and his seed after him. And so we're still talking about Aaron's descendants here. And this also, make this clear. Moses also was a descendant of Levi too, but he's setting up the priesthood that's being linked to the children of Israel by way of Aaron. So because Moses is a prototype for Christ, but that's a whole other breakdown. Let's go to Exodus 35. Let's walk into this some more. Exodus chapter 35, because he spoke about a tabernacle, but they don't have one that exists right now. They just get the garments ready. They get the basketball jerseys ready, but they don't even have a stadium yet. Right? So we need to build on this. Let's get this piece by piece by piece, because he's showing y'all something. Exodus 35, and pick this up at verse 4. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And Moses spake unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord commanded, saying, Right? Take ye from among you an offering unto the Lord. Right? Whosoever is of willing heart.
Now, I want y'all to get ready to do something for the Lord. But whoever is of a willing heart, so it's not begrudged to serve the Lord. So so that's why a lot of times you see people showing up early here and they're not getting paid because they want to set the Lord's table, as Elder Andre would say, because they have a willing heart to do so. But go ahead.
Let him bring it. An offering of the Lord. Gold and silver and brass and blue and purple and scarlet. And fine linen and goat's hair.
I don't want to get into all the artifacts. They're bringing things that they want to help out. These want to come help out with whatever they had. Now let's jump down to verse 10. Because what is this for in the first place? Go ahead.
And every wise-hearted among you shall come.
Right.
And make all that the Lord hath commanded.
Right. Operate wisdom to make all that the Lord has commanded. In other words, don't be doing this in ignorance. Hit verse 11.
The tabernacle.
The tabernacle, that's what he told that they have to have outfits for. Now they're going to focus on the place where they're going to go in. The tabernacle.
His tent.
Whose tent?
His tent.
Is this talking about Aaron's tent?
His tent.
Or is this talking about Jehovah or Melchizedek's tent? His tent, go ahead.
And his covering.
His covering.
His taches.
His taches.
And his board.
His board.
His bars.
His bars, I'm sorry.
His pillars.
His pillars.
And his sockets.
And his sockets. In other words, he's showing possession. Who owns this? The Lord God of Israel is the one that owns this. Jehovah, that they call. Go ahead.
The ark. And the staves thereof.
And the staves. Go ahead.
With the mercy seat.
With the mercy seat. Well, what is a seat made for? That's made to sit upon, right? Message. Go ahead.
And the veil of the covering.
And the veil, in other words, the veil is what separates the holy place from the most holy place, or what was called the Holy of Holies. The ark was inside the Holy of Holies. Go ahead.
The table. And his staves.
And his staves. Go ahead.
And all his vessels. And the showbread. The candlestick also for the light. And his furniture.
His what?
His furniture.
Now, if I tell you that I owe you something because it is your furniture, you understand that you're going to put it in the place where you live, right? So if all these items have given a possessive pronoun, all this his, then you understand that the furniture is representative of a place where he's going to reside. Go ahead.
And his lamps.
And his lamps, go ahead.
With the oil for the light.
With the oil for the light, go ahead.
And the incense altar. And his staves.
Right.
And the anointing oil.
Because all these items have to do with worshiping and how can I say operating in this tabernacle. Because the incense wasn't just to make some sweet smell. This is representative of prayers. Go ahead. That's why when we pray, we open up. Where do we face? We face Jerusalem, right? No matter where you are on earth, we face Jerusalem, where the temple was supposed to be. And inside the temple, you have the altar of incense, and the incense will go forth in the sweet savor before the Lord. So that we all are still facing that temple for a specific direction. Go ahead.
And the sweet incense.
Right?
And
I'm sorry that where that temple was, but go ahead.
And the hanging for the door at the entering in of the tabernacle.
What verse you at?
Just finished 15.
Go ahead.
The altar to burn offering.
Right.
With his brazen grate. His staves. And all his vessels.
Right.
The laver and his foot.
That's right.
The hangings of the court. His pillars.
Right.
And their sockets.
And the sockets, go ahead.
And the hanging for the door of the court.
We're showing all these the various dimensions and things that are in here. Go ahead.
The pins of the tabernacle. And the pins of the court.
Right.
And their cords.
Right.
The cloths of service.
The cloths of service. Go ahead.
To do service in the holy place.
To do service in the holy place. Go ahead.
The holy garments.
The holy garments which we read about. Go ahead.
For Aaron the priest. And the garments of his sons.
And the garments of whose sons?
His sons.
Now, I wonder, is this talking about Aaron's sons? Yes. Or just Aaron's sons, shall I say? When you saw all these other artifacts as being spoken clearly, this is the sons of, the possession of God. Now you have to ask yourself, well, why, if this his son is speaking just about Aaron, what did you think? We're gonna investigate. Finish out verse 19. We're gonna investigate.
To minister in the priest's office.
To minister in the priest's office. Now let's go ahead and go to Numbers chapter 3 real quick and get some understanding when it says his sons. Numbers chapter 3 and one verse in verse 12. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And I,
the Lord speaking, go ahead.
Behold, I have taken the Levites from
I have taken the Levites. So this is not just about the sons of Aaron, because Moses is not a son of Aaron. So anyone that was a descendant of Levi, he said, I have taken for them. Go ahead.
From among the children of Israel.
Right.
Instead of all the firstborn that opened the matrix.
So instead of all the firstborn that I killed in Egypt, because I didn't kill your firstborn, I'm going to take Levites, descendants, as priests unto me for payment. Go ahead.
Among the children of Israel. Therefore the Levites shall be mine.
Shall be whose?
Mine.
Now we understand why it says his sons. Y'all get that?
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's go ahead and jump to Exodus chapter 40. Because all this instruction and all these artifacts that they were bringing together and bringing in and putting together, it was finished. So Exodus chapter 40, and we're going to pick this up at verse 19. Because this whole time, when we understand that there is a Levitical priesthood, we have to understand what was it for. We have to understand who was the beneficiary of it. We have to understand who was around to even give the orders in the first place. Were the orders coming directly from Moses, or was Moses and Aaron receiving the orders directly from God? Or in other words, the higher priesthood. Exodus chapter 40, and pick it up at verse 19. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above upon it,
right,
as the Lord commanded Moses,
right.
And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark,
right,
and put the mercy seat upon the ark,
right.
And he brought the ark into the tabernacle,
and he brought the ark into the tabernacle because now it's time to move in all these artifacts. Go ahead.
And set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony,
right,
as the Lord commanded Moses.
Right. In other words, it's just like if someone is getting a new house built from scratch. They have all these different artifacts that they're going to build a certain way with certain curtains and hangings and fittings, and then you're going to turn around and have all your personal furniture moved in after the house is finished, right? But what happens after your furniture's moved in? What's left? Finish it up.
And he put the table in the tent of the congregation,
right,
upon the side of the tabernacle northward, without the veil.
Now, jump down to verse 31. Verse 31.
And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat.
Right.
When they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed as the Lord commanded Moses.
It was always about staying clean. Verse 33.
And he reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar.
Right.
And set up the hanging of the court gate.
Right.
So Moses finished the work.
So Moses finished the work. They have finished getting everything ready. Just like down the street, we have a building being put together. Then there's going to be furniture moved in. And then at some point it's going to be finished. So one thing is left. Hit verse 34.
Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation.
Now all of a sudden the clouds covered the tent. Go ahead.
And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle.
And the glory of the Lord did what? Filled the tabernacle. Somebody's moving in. Go ahead.
And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon. And the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle.
And the glory of who? The Lord filled the tabernacle. So who moved in with Israel? So who moved in among the Levites? Melchizedek himself. But let's go ahead and jump down to Deuteronomy 17. Let's jump over to Deuteronomy 17 and let's take a look at this more. Because what we just witnessed the Lord lending his priesthood to Israel. But it was only lent out. This was not to be a forever type situation. Because when they would operate in their priesthood, they would be sacrificing animals. But animal sacrifice is not a permanent thing. It's not a permanent fix. It couldn't even take away sins by itself. So someone else has to go and replace it. But however, it's still a schoolmaster. All this time you should be learning while they're doing stuff. Because this whole situation is set for the Lord teaching man. So let's go to Deuteronomy 17 and pick up at verse 14. When you get there, go ahead and read.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee,
right,
and shalt possess it,
right,
and shalt dwell therein,
right,
and shalt say, I will set a king over me.
So he's speaking on what they will eventually start saying before it happened. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set a king over me. Go ahead.
Like as all the nations that are about me.
In other words, they're trying to be like everybody else instead of following what the Lord has for them. Like all the other nations about me. Hit verse 15.
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
Now, who's still going to be choosing the king? It's still the Lord. It's still the king priest. Go ahead.
One from among thy brethren,
right,
shalt thou set king over thee.
Right.
Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
So he already told you, even though he said, I'm going to be on this, going to be picking him, that you can't even set a stranger to be king over you at this point, or not at any point rather. But let's go ahead and jump down to verse 18.
And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom.
Right, because it's not about him operating in autonomy or by himself. When he sits upon the throne of his kingdom, go ahead.
That he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites.
Oh, the whole time, even though he's in a king's seat, he's operating and ruling in the kingdom, he still has a copy of the book of the law. In other words, the word of God that comes from the king priest. Go ahead.
And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life.
All the days of his life, he's going to read. Go ahead.
That he may learn to fear the Lord his God, and keep all the words of this law,
right,
and these statutes to do them.
Exactly, because you never had a king of Israel go and sit on top of the Ark of the Covenant, did you? In other words, all their rulership was temporary, just like the Levitical priesthood was temporary. But let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 1 and see when this had to be put into effect, because people didn't want to let the Lord rule over them. 1 Samuel chapter 1 and pick it up at verse 1. Because over and over, you start seeing that Israel needs to be reminded who's really over them. And even those in charge need to be reminded who's really over them. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 1. 1 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zoph, and Ephrathite.
Go ahead. Hold on 1 second. No, I think I have you on the wrong spot. I think I have you on the wrong spot. Yeah, I do. Let's go. Let's do this. We're just going to jump to 1 Samuel chapter 10. Because that must have been a typo while I have that there. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 10. We're going to go directly to when one of the kings was chosen. I'm sorry, that's what it was. It was supposed to be verse 8. Chapter 8, verse 1. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. That was what it was. And then we're going to go to 10. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And it came to pass when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel.
Okay, so Samuel, because it was always the judges, so when we passed up the judges, you had all these various judges that were ruling over the people of Israel. But go ahead.
Now the name of his firstborn was Joel.
Well, I'm not worried about the names, but we're going to jump down to verse 3. Go ahead.
And his sons walked not in his ways.
But see, and that's where it started. Everyone started getting that itch for a king because you had some people that wasn't walking in his ways. The sons of Samuel, rather. Go ahead.
But turned aside lucre.
And turned aside after lucre. They focus on that money. Go ahead.
And took bribes.
Right, they taking bribes. Go ahead.
And perverted judgment.
That's what's happening. Go ahead.
Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together. And came to Samuel unto Ramah.
So now they said, okay, it's got bad enough, but we have to do something. Go ahead.
And said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
Now, and that also is food for thought. Just because your parents were righteous or grandparents were righteous does not automatically mean that's going to pass down to the descendants, because everyone operates their own way. But you also had Nabal. Nabal was a descendant of Caleb, but he turned around and was so wicked that the Lord had to kill him on the spot. So don't get all caught up on the bloodline like that's where I got my righteousness from. That's why the Lord told the Pharisees, say not to thyself that Abraham is our father. Because the Lord is able to raise up these stones children unto Abraham. Right. Go ahead.
But the thing displeased Samuel.
The thing that they asked for displeased Samuel. Go ahead.
When they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto God. And the Lord said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee.
Now that is interesting. The Lord still, so right here, Israel is the bride of Christ, or the bride of God. This is the bride. So there's a marriage point in this, that even though you may not like what the spouse has to say, you still take time to consider and to listen to see what you can do about their requests sometimes. Because you see the way that the Lord is saying, even though it's displeasing Sam, he's saying, listen unto them. Go ahead and give them what they're asking for. In other words, they're going to have to learn from this. But hit verse 7 from the top.
And the Lord said unto Samuel,
right,
hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee.
Right, go ahead.
For they have not rejected thee.
Because it's not you that's being rejected. You were just a vessel. Go ahead.
But they have rejected me.
They have rejected me. Go ahead.
That I should not reign over them.
That I should not reign over them. They didn't realize this whole time I was doing 4 things. Protecting, providing, instructing, and correcting. That's what a king does. That's what someone that's over something does. They protect, provide, they instruct, and correct. Now that's the end of verse 7, right? Now let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 10. And let's get this understanding of the one that they ended up having king over them. Let's see how our royalty as king started off when it became just regular men. 1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 21. And verse 21, because Samuel got all the people, he done spoke to them, trying to get their attention. So let's jump directly down to verse 21. When you get there, go ahead and read.
When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come.
Actually, hit verse 20. Hit verse 20. Because it's like it starts at the tribe level, then the family level, then the household level. So it's walking down to find this king. This is how they found the one guy who had hid that idolatry under his tomb. Go ahead.
And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken.
So out of all the tribes, I'm going to focus on Benjamin. Go ahead.
When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families,
right,
the family of Matri was taken, and Saul, the son of Kish, was taken. And
Saul, the son of Kish, was taken. In other words, it's deciding on him. Go ahead.
And when they sought him, he could not be found.
Go ahead. So now they're looking for this individual that's been selected to be king. Go ahead.
Therefore they inquired of the Lord further.
They inquired of God further. Go ahead.
If the man should yet come further. If the man should yet come thither.
Go ahead.
And the Lord answered, behold, he hath hid himself among the stuff.
This dude hide. The first king of Israel is hiding. This man's over here hiding up. The one that Job and the kings go to reject me. Look at where he at. He's over here hiding among the stuff. Go ahead.
And they ran and fetched him thence.
So they got to go and fetch him. He over here. And they got to go grab him out. I'm sorry, I got to use visuals from time to time. But I'm just showing how this is what we chose instead of the Lord God of Israel. It already was a step down in the platform. We were already going backwards by choosing us a king. That's why it made Samuel upset. But he had to go ahead and do what the Lord told him to do. That's the end of verse. That's the end of verse 22. Hit verse 22 from the top one more time.
Therefore they inquired of the Lord further.
Because they got to inquire of God because he hid himself so well. God, where is this man that you done chose? So he didn't just he hid himself real good. Go ahead.
If the man should yet come thither.
If he should come here, go ahead.
And the Lord answered, behold, he hath hid himself among the stuff.
He's over here hiding. Your king. Go ahead and go to 1 Samuel chapter 12 and just pick up at verse 12. He's just gonna, remind you one more time who was your original king. 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 12, because they didn't even recognize or realize who that was back in Genesis 14. That's why I brought out the fact that he was the king of Salem. He was already king and a priest. You got a 2-for-1 deal. But now when man's trying to do this, I got to separate it. So now you have one group of people carrying the priesthood and another group of people carrying the kingship. Go ahead.
And when you saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, he said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us.
Right. In other words, you saw that the Lord did something, but you still said, no, we still want a king to reign over us. Go ahead.
When the Lord your God was your king.
Who was our king? The Lord our God. Go ahead.
Now therefore, behold, the king whom ye chosen.
The king whom you have chosen. Go ahead.
And whom ye have desired. And behold, the Lord has set a king over you.
And he has set a king over you. So he fulfilled Deuteronomy 17. But go to verse 16. Go ahead.
Now therefore, stand and see this great thing, which the Lord will before your eyes.
Right. In other words, I'm gonna show you a little bit of his power who you just fired. Go ahead. Stand and see this great thing before your eyes. Go ahead.
Is it not wheat harvest today? I will call unto the Lord.
I'm going to call unto the Lord. That's what Samuel's saying. Go ahead.
And he shall send thunder and rain.
And he's going to send thunder and rain. Go ahead.
That ye may perceive.
That you may perceive or catch on. Go ahead.
And see that your wickedness is great.
And see that your wickedness is great. Go ahead.
Which ye have done in the sight of the Lord. In asking you a king.
And asking for you a king. Go ahead, keep going, hit verse 18.
So Samuel called unto the Lord,
right?
And the Lord sent thunder and rain that day.
So he just called unto the Lord, and immediately he received the answer. They got both thunder and rain that day. Go ahead.
And all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel.
And all the people feared the Lord and Samuel. Go ahead.
And all the people said unto Samuel, Pray for thy servants unto the Lord thy God.
So now they say, now pray to the Lord for us. In other words, go ahead.
That we not die.
That we die not. Go ahead.
For we have added unto all our sins this evil.
Right.
To ask us a king.
But it's too late now. You already asked him. You already got him. He's over there still hiding. So you already got what you asked for. So, hey, let's deal with it now. He already told you that he's going to be doing a lot of things that, how can I say, the Lord God won't even be doing. But let's go further. Let's go further. Let's go to 2 Kings 25. Marcus, turn me up a little bit. 2 Kings 25, and we're going to pick this up at verse 1. 2 Kings 25 and verse 1. Because we be here all day walking down what happened amongst all the various kings that we had from Saul all the way to Solomon. Then the nation was split to Solomon after a while. Then you had the northern tribe, which was Ephraim. And then you had for Israel. And then you had the southern tribe, which was Judah. And it started from Rehoboam and Judah all the way through Zedekiah. But you also had Jeroboam all the way through Hoshea for Israel, or the northern tribe. The northern tribe had a bunch of wicked kings. You at least had a few little good kings on the Judah side. But all the way through here, this is the very last king, because the northern tribe was taken out into captivity first. Then you turn around and have the southern kingdom, and the very last king was Zedekiah. But go ahead and pick this up at 2 Kings chapter 25 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came. He and all his hosts against Jerusalem. And pitched against it. And they built forts against it round about. And
so they built forts around the city. So the Gentiles understood that if you want to take down Jerusalem, sometimes you got to just surround it. Because that's exactly what the Romans did in 70 AD. Go ahead.
And the city was besieged unto the 11th year of Zedekiah.
And of King who?
Zedekiah.
That's our last reigning king over Judah. Go ahead.
And on the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine prevailed in the city. And there was no bread for the people of the land.
Go ahead.
And the city was broken up. And all the men of war fled by night.
So now the men of war are leaving, but go ahead.
By the way of the gate between two walls. Which is by the king's garden. Now the Chaldees were against the city round about.
Because Nebuchadnezzar was king of the Chaldees. So they over here, they sieging on Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And the king went the way toward the plain.
But now you see the king leaving the people. In other words, I'm out. Y'all fend for yourselves. All the men of war left, everyone leaving. Y'all just leaving for yourselves. Everyone protecting themselves. Go ahead.
And the army of the Chaldees pursued after the king.
But that didn't matter because they still caught up with King Zedekiah. Go ahead.
And overtook him in the plains of Jericho. And all his army were scattered from him. So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon and Riblah. And they gave judgment upon him.
And they gave judgment upon him. Go ahead.
And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes.
Now, the first thing that they do when they catch up with him, they kill his sons. Go ahead.
And put out the eyes of Zedekiah.
Then they make him go blind, and that's the last memory that he has as far as seeing was his own sons being slain. Go ahead. And see, all this happened because they were doing so wickedly that the Lord sent this group of people against them. Even though he gave warning after warning after warning, he finally went ahead and let them loose. Go ahead.
And bound him with fetters of brass. And carried him to Babylon.
And carried him to Babylon. Let's say in verse 7. Let's go to Ezekiel 21. And carried him to Babylon. That's the last king that he overturned of the children of Israel. And there's not going to be any more kings until the right king shows up. The one who was ruling in the first place. Ezekiel 21. And let's pick this up at verse 25. So you see how even though the Lord was so kind to Israel, he lent us the priesthood. You saw how our kingship started and you saw how it ended. Not good. But you still had a few bright spots within there, such as King David. So even though the throne was the Lord's in the first place, he allowed David's name to be associated with that throne. The throne of the house of David. Ezekiel 21, let's put this up at verse 25. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And thou, profane wicked prince of Israel,
right,
whose day is come, when iniquity shall have an end.
Right, it's coming to an end. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord.
Right.
God.
Yep.
Remove the diadem.
The diadem is another form of a crown. Go ahead.
And take off the crown.
Right.
This shall not be the same.
Right.
Exalt him that is low.
Right.
And abase him that is high.
Right. Hit verse 27.
I will overturn.
Right. So that overturn 3 times is just speaking about the last 3 kings on the side of Judah. Because by that time, the Assyrians were already taking out the northern 10 tribes, which ended up becoming 9 because the Levites came back. But he says, I will overturn. He took down Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, and then Zedekiah, which was the very last one he took out. But I went back here to show that it doesn't stop with Zedekiah being taken out on the last overturn. But go ahead.
And it shall be no more.
The throne of someone ruling over the children of Israel from within the nation is no more. Go ahead.
Until he comes.
Go ahead.
Whose right it is.
And
I will give it him.
And I will give it to him. This individual is going to get it, but we're going to find out who this is. We're going to walk down and show piece by piece who's going to be sent in the first place. So let's take it to Isaiah 48, and we're going to pick this up at verse 1. We'll spend a lot of time in the Old Testament so that way when you hit the New Testament, you have some understanding and some individuals are readily recognizable. You can recognize who's who. People get caught off the name doctrine so bad that they don't look at the actions. Isaiah 48, and let's pick this up at verse 1. This whole time, when we've been reading all morning, we've been reading about Jehovah operating under the order of Melchizedek. This whole time. But there's about to be some changes. Isaiah 48 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Hear ye this,
right?
O house of Jacob.
So now it's the house of Jacob. Hear ye this, go ahead.
Which are called by the name of Israel.
Called by the name of Israel. That's why it makes sense when he says about the Levites, his sons. Even though those aren't the only sons. When you turn around and had Jacob, he was adopted. And all the descendants of Jacob were actually the sons of God. As far as the name. Go ahead.
And are come forth out of the waters of Judah. Which swear by the name of the Lord.
Which swear by the name of the Lord. Go ahead.
And make mention of the God of Israel.
Right.
But not in truth.
Right.
Nor in righteousness.
Right.
For they call themselves of the holy city. And stay themselves upon God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name.
Right. Let's jump all the way down to verse 12. So in other words, he's saying, I have a problem with what's going on here, but I need y'all to listen up. Verse 12, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Hearken unto me.
Listen unto me. That's why it says all the way back in the old book here, O Israel. Go ahead.
O Jacob and Israel.
Right.
My call.
My call.
I am he.
I am he. Go ahead.
I am the first.
I'm the first.
I am also the last.
I'm also the last. This is God Almighty speaking. Hit verse 13.
My hand also had laid the foundations of the earth.
Look, even the ground you walking upon, I made that. You know how you have kids being, how can I say, or teenagers acting unruly, and they turn around and say, they kind of challenge their parents. You turn around and say, who got that shirt on your back? Who's feeding you? Who put the roof over your head?
Right.
Who gives you transportation from here to there? Who gives you those video games? That's what the Lord did with us, because it's like a father speaking to a son. Because we have been adopted. So he says, my hand also laid the foundation of the earth. Go ahead.
And my right hand has spanned the heavens.
I'm the one that made the heavens. Where you get your sunshine from. Go ahead.
When I call unto them,
when I speak unto them, go ahead.
They stand up together.
They are obedient. Go ahead.
Also,
in other words, if this portion of my creation is obedient, why are you that are my creation being obedient? Right. Go ahead.
All ye.
Jump down to verse 16. Verse 16.
Come ye near unto me.
Right.
Hear ye this.
Listen up. Go ahead.
I have not spoken in secret from the beginning.
From the beginning. Go ahead.
From the time that it was.
Right.
There am I.
There am I. Go ahead.
And now the Lord God and his Spirit have sent me.
Now the Lord God and his Spirit has sent me. So the same individual that did all this creating, all this reproving with Israel has now been sent. Has now been sent. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 7 and find out the mode in which he was sent, or as they say, the method of delivery. Isaiah chapter 7, and let's pick this up at verse 10. Isaiah 7 and verse 10. And he's bringing all this conversation to Ahaz. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahaz, saying,
right?
Ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God.
So ask a sign of the Lord, who thy God, the Lord thy God. Ask him a sign. Go ahead.
Ask it either in the depth or in the height above.
So ask it beneath or from above, because he made all that. We just read that in Isaiah 48, right? Go ahead.
But Ahaz said, I will not ask.
Right.
Neither will I tempt the Lord.
Right. He asked him on the same. He said, no, I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to tempt the Lord. Hit verse 13.
And he said, hear ye now.
Listen up. Go ahead.
O house of David.
O house of David. Go ahead.
Is it a small thing for you to weary men? But will ye weary my God also?
It's one thing for you to get on other people's nerves. That's just flesh and blood. But are you also going to weary my God also? But it just said in verse 11, after the son of the Lord thy God. God is speaking unto Ahaz, and he's turning around and saying, not only are you getting on my nerves, you are getting on the Father's nerves also. You're going to weary my God also? Go ahead.
Therefore the Lord himself,
therefore, because of this, the Lord himself, go ahead,
shall give you a sign.
I'm going to give you a sign. Go ahead.
Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son.
A virgin is going to conceive and bear a son. So not only is a virgin going to conceive, which is a big deal, but he's also giving you the gender at the same time. Go ahead.
And shall call his name Emmanuel.
And you're going to call his name Emmanuel. So now we know the method of delivery, right? We know the locations can be delivered to from Micah chapter 5 in Bethlehem, Judah. Now let's take this a little bit further. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9 and understand this one that's going to show up. What's his mission? Isaiah chapter 9 and pick up at verse 6. Because if the kings of Israel aren't going to be ruling the right way, don't worry. Just the right individual is going to take it over and show you how it's done. Isaiah chapter 9 and pick up at verse 6. When you get there, go ahead and read.
For unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given.
So unto the children of Israel a child has been born, and unto us a son has been given. Go ahead.
And the government shall be upon his shoulder.
This is not talking about Isaiah. The government or rulership is going to belong to him. The government shall be upon his shoulder. Go ahead.
And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor,
right?
The Mighty God.
Now, why is this child or this son that's going to be born going to be called the Mighty God? Go ahead.
The Everlasting Father.
The Everlasting Father. Now, the Father did not take on flesh, but the Father of the children of Israel took on flesh. In other words, the son whose other name is Israel, like it says in Isaiah 49, took on flesh, but that's the same individual who renamed Jacob to Israel. That's why he's called the everlasting Father. Go ahead.
The Prince of Peace.
The Prince of Peace. That's why he's King of Salem, because Salem or Shalom, or Salem means Shalom or peace. Y'all get that? Let's hit verse 7. Because we understood that I will overturn, it shall be no more until whose right it is, and I will give it to him. So we see that he has to have a government because he has to receive a kingdom to rule from. Go ahead and hit verse 7.
Of the increase of his government and peace.
Of the increase of his government, and peace. Go ahead.
There shall be no end.
There will be no end. Go ahead.
Upon the throne of David.
Upon the throne of David. Go ahead.
And upon his kingdom. To order it. And to establish it with judgment.
With judgment. Go ahead.
And with justice.
And with justice. So we aren't going to get no judgment. We're not going to get no justice until this child that's been born returns unto us. Go ahead.
Even forever.
Even forever. Is that the end of verse 7? Go ahead, finish it out.
The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this.
The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Now, let's cross over into the book of Matthew and start understanding who this all has been speaking about. Matthew chapter 1 and pick it up at verse 20. See, some of these items are a little bit easier for those that have been going to the Israel of God for some time. But to the world, this is a mind blow. That all of a sudden, hold on, you mean Jesus belongs not just up to Matthew, but all the way back to Genesis? In many cases, you'll hear people say, well, the scriptures speak of Jesus, but they cannot, how they say, you know how in Matthew you say, you know, you got the right answer, but show your work. Show me how you arrive to that conclusion. Well, you know, all scripture, well, okay, where can I find Jesus in Genesis? Where can I find Jesus in Exodus? Where can I find Jesus in Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Judges? Show me your work. Go to Matthew chapter 1 and pick up at verse 20, because it's time to get beyond just sayings or vain platitudes, because that's a lot of times what we hear, you know, for those of us that was on the Sunday side. Just vain platitudes. Matthew 1 and verse 20, when you get there, go ahead and read.
But while he thought on these things, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream.
So saying, the angel of the Lord appears unto Joseph in a dream. Go ahead.
Saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife.
Right.
For that which is conceived in her of the Holy Ghost.
Right.
And she shall bring forth a son. And thou shalt call his name Jesus.
So you're going to bring forth a son, you're going to call his name Jesus. Go ahead.
For he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of.
Now this is all about fulfilling prophecy. When fulfilled by the prophet, go ahead.
Which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying,
Right.
Behold, a virgin shall be with child and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel.
Did we read that earlier? Go ahead.
Which being interpreted is God with us.
So we should have clear understanding that there's a connection between the Old and New Testament, that they are in agreement. You read directly out the Bible, not some person just saying, oh, well, Jesus is God. Well, we can understand specifically how this was on the back end, and then we will show you his divinity on the front end. Go ahead and let's end verse 23.
Yep.
Let's go to Matthew chapter 2 and pick up at verse 13, because all the meanwhile, the children of Israel have lost their kingdom, and some people had tried to, how can I say, the taking on of the identity had already started when these converts were converted by the Maccabees. But hit Matthew chapter 2 and verse 13, and then we're going to hit a history book after this. Go ahead.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying,
So yet again, Joseph getting another dream. Go ahead.
Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt.
And flee into Egypt. Go ahead.
And be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
For Herod will seek to destroy him. Now, we're going to find out why. But let's go ahead and grab the great people of the Bible, how they live. And we're going to read one spot about Herod, because in many cases they don't understand that what's going on is a battle still between Jacob and Esau, the twin brother of Jacob. Go ahead and hit the highlight portion right there, page 314.
Rome needed a shrewd and capable agent in Palestine.
So who needed this? Rome. The Roman kingdom was the one in power. It was not the Israelites ruling over themselves. They now had to pay tribute or live up under an entire separate government. So just because the separate government had a section that was over what they called Judea, because that's the Greek for that land, or the Greek for Judah, they turned around and said, well, we're going to have someone from our kingdom over top of this land, but this is not the fulfillment of Ezekiel 21, who was going to really be given to. Go ahead.
And Herod the Great,
right?
They felt they had such a man,
right?
Young, ambitious, and brutal when necessary. Herod was not a true Jew.
He was not a what?
A true Jew.
He was not a true Jew, but he still tried to have some affinity with the people. But go ahead.
But an Idumean.
Idumea is referring to Esau or Edom. Go ahead.
Whose forefathers had been forced to convert to Judaism.
Right. His forefathers was forced to convert. Go ahead.
A century before. He had first come to Rome's attention when, as a governor of Galilee,
right,
he quickly put down a minor Jewish rebellion in 47 BC.
So Esau always trying to put down their brother. Go ahead.
7 years later, when civil war disrupted in the country,
right,
Herod fled to Rome and persuaded the Romans to name him king of Palestine.
So he wants the Romans to be named king. Go ahead.
In order to restore peace.
In other words, I'm going to try to bring some peace. In other words, some peace to the kingdom to the Romans' kingdom, not necessarily to this group of people. So that's a different kind of peace he's talking about. That's the end of that. Thank you for that. Now let's go to John chapter 5. Meanwhile, this individual who just popped up on us, that he was unsuccessful in his assassination attempt, you turn around and have him doing a lot of talking. Let's go ahead and pick up John chapter 5 and verse 39. When you get there, go ahead and read. Like I said, this is a very simple breakdown. Very simple. I'm taking the scenic route versus just hitting some of the main doctrinal points. I have to show you all a little bit of the history of what happened in the back end. Go ahead.
Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life.
That's what we were doing so far. We've been searching the scriptures for the first half of this lesson. For in them you think you have eternal life. Go ahead.
And they are they which testify of me.
This talking about him. Go ahead.
And ye will not come to me, that ye might have eternal, that ye may have life.
In other words, you don't want to go to the scriptures and find me, but go ahead. Go ahead and jump down to verse 43.
I am come in my Father's name.
So now that he showed up, I'm coming in my Father's name, because it said that he's going to come in the majesty of the Lord his God. He's going to come in his name, like it says in Micah chapter 5. Go ahead.
And ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name.
If someone comes in their own name, go ahead.
Him ye will receive.
Right, so this, verse 43 is what I call the crossover verse. Now, you have thought the whole time in the Old Testament that was a father operating, well, you have just found out, no, that was me operating, but now when I showed up on you in the flesh, I'm wearing the Father's name. In other words, the whole time you were dealing with Jesus. Now go ahead and jump down to verse 45.
Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father.
Don't think I'm going to accuse you. This is not about accusations, but go ahead.
There is one that accuseth you.
There's one that accuseth you. Go ahead.
Even Moses, in whom ye trust.
In whom you trust. In other words, the writings of Moses are going to condemn you. Go ahead and verse 46.
For had ye believed Moses,
because if you had believed Moses, go ahead.
Ye would have believed me.
You would have believed me. What I have to say. Go ahead.
For he wrote of me.
For he wrote of me. Go ahead.
But if ye believe not his writings.
But if you don't believe what Moses has to say, go ahead.
How shall ye believe my words?
How in the world do you even find his words, let alone believe? So in other words, he's saying, go back and search the scriptures. But we've been spending a lot of time back there. We're going to spend a little bit of time in the Old Testament to show him over and over and over. Let's go to Revelation 14, verse 1, and let's get a second witness to this saying that the Father's name is on him. Revelation 14 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read. Like I said, we've now crossed over into the other side of the book, and we're dealing with someone with the name Jesus, but we're understanding how that name came on the scene. Go ahead and hit Revelation 14 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sinai.
Now we understand who the lamb is, right? This is what John the Baptist said, behold the Lamb of God. We understand what this is talking about, right? In other words, there's various different ways to describe who he is. It's just up to you to recognize him if you can truly recognize him. Look, and I saw a lamb stood. Go ahead.
And with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their foreheads.
Having whose name? The Father's name written in their foreheads. But we nowhere saw, we see anywhere in the book where in the New Testament that Jesus is turning around and preaching Jehovah. Because he's not going to speak about himself. He's going to speak about the Father. That's why you don't see Jehovah nowhere in the New Testament. You know someone else's book puts it all over there.
That's right.
They're over here messing up the scriptures. Bad position to be in. So having the Father's name written in their foreheads, now let's go ahead and jump out of this. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 18. Because there's two sides that Moses told you about. Moses told you about when he was back there operating as God. But he also told you when he's going to switch up on you. But he's still going to be dealing with Israel. Deuteronomy 18. And let's pick this up at verse 15. Deuteronomy 18 and verse 15. Y'all get some out of this so far?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, praise God. Deuteronomy 18 and verse 15. I ain't going to show a whole bunch of, I need amens and whatnot. Every once in a while, I just need a pulse check. Make sure y'all ain't asleep.
Amen.
And if y'all sleep, I'm going to blame it on the reader.
Give us a reference of
Right.
the text. We reference.
Oh, the reference for the book?
Yeah.
The reference for the book is great people in the Bible.
Page what?
How they live, page 314.
Page 314.
314, and it's about Herod the Great. So-so. Deuteronomy 18 and verse 15. When you get there, go ahead and read.
The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee.
From the midst of you. So I'm going to bring, so there's going to be someone that's going to show up as a prophet from the midst of you. Go ahead. So you can be Israel. Go ahead.
Of thy brethren. Like unto me.
Like unto me. There's going to be a lot of characteristics. It's just like unto Moses. But that's a whole separate lesson. Go ahead.
Unto him ye shall hearken. According to all that thou desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb.
Now hold up. Unto all that thou desirest of the Lord thy God, where?
In Horeb.
In Horeb. In other words, at Mount Sinai. Because the children of Israel said, well, we can't stand to keep listening to this or else we might die. Because the fire and the smoke and the trumpet and the thunder and the earthquakes, they were scared. So the Lord was like, I hear you, so I'm going to make sure that you hear someone preach the same thing, then it doesn't scare you as bad. He's going to be flesh. So because you were so scared of this, don't worry, just like you said, a husband to a wife, okay, I'm listening to you, and we're going to bring it another way. But go ahead.
In the day of the assembly, saying.
In the day of the assembly, when they assemble together. Go ahead.
Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God.
Right, go ahead.
Neither let me see his great fire and more.
Right.
That I die not.
So when he showed up in the New Testament, did he come with all the fire and the loud thunder and everything? No, he ain't hit you with that. A smoking flax shall he not quench. In other words, he was delicate with you because of what you said on this side. But it's other reasons for that. But go ahead, hit verse 17.
And the Lord said unto me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken.
Right. In other words, I heard what they spoke. Go ahead.
I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren.
I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren. Go ahead.
Like unto thee.
Now some people say, well, that's talking about Joshua. How can this be talking about Joshua when Joshua didn't even deal with the Lord face to face like Moses did? Joshua only had to get his information by the scriptures or by dreams. But he said it was never the same like he dealt with Moses. Go ahead and finish verse 18.
And will put my words in his mouth.
And then I will put my words in his mouth. Now this is now the Father speaking directly through the Son, speaking directly through the angel who's bringing the word to Moses. And so the Father said, I'm going to put my words in the Son's mouth. Go ahead.
And he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
And he's going to speak unto you all that I command him. Hit verse 19.
And it shall come to pass,
right?
Whosoever will not hearken.
Let me hold it right here. Why I broke it down like that. When I took y'all to, I think it was Exodus chapter 3, when you saw the angel speaking on behalf of God, but the angel was speaking verbatim. Now in this instance, you have the Father speaking, how can I say? The Son speaking on behalf of the Father, he's speaking verbatim what the Father had to say. In other words, Jesus is going to carry out these specific, instructions to tell y'all to keep the commandments. Hit verse 19.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words,
and whosoever will not hearken unto my words, go ahead,
which he shall speak in my name,
which he shall speak in the Father's name, go ahead,
I will require it of him.
So it's going to be required of you in that day, in the day of judgment. But let's keep going. Let's go to Matthew chapter 3. Matthew chapter 3. I could walk this down from a couple different angles, because I could turn around and go to Psalms 45 and show you that God was anointed by God, but God came in the flesh. So he was anointed by the better, because you can only be blessed by someone that's better than you. That's why he said, why cause thou me good? There's none good but God, because he was in the flesh. Everyone tries to rag on and say, well, who was Jesus? Jesus never said worship me. Well, if you understood who this was speaking, when he was in the flesh, he didn't want you to worship him at that time.
Right.
It was all about carrying out the Father's objectives at that time. And we're going to show how humble he was. Go ahead, Matthew chapter 3. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 13. Matthew 3 and 13, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Then cometh Jesus from Galilee to Jordan unto John, to be baptized of him.
To be baptized. So who's coming to be baptized? Because all that baptism was a representation of you getting cleaned up. Go ahead.
But John forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee.
Right. He's like, don't I need to be baptized of you? But Jesus is now in the flesh. At this point, Jesus is not wearing the title of Melchizedek. So who's the priest at that time that's above him at that time? You have the Levites. So even though John recognizes who he is, Jesus is showing you how to fulfill all righteousness. In other words, why you in this flesh? Go along with the program. Go ahead, jump down to verse. Did you finish up that verse?
No. I have need to be baptized of thee, and thou comest thou to me.
And you coming to me? But hit verse 15.
And Jesus answering said unto him, suffer it to be so now.
Right.
For thus is becometh of us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him.
Right. So is he exalting himself in his priesthood that he will be taken back? Not at this time, because he's giving us an example. Hit verse 16.
And Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water.
Right.
And lo, the heavens were opened unto him. And he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove, and lighting upon him.
And then lighting upon him. Go ahead and hit verse 17.
And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved son.
This is my beloved son. So remember, if this is the son, you understand that he's wearing the name of the Father. So that's why no one should be kicking on the name Jesus, because Mary did not make that name up for him. It was instructed that she will obey and give him that name, because that name came directly from heaven. And they said, well, it's not Hebrew. Well, you don't understand. Nothing about that name says it has to be Hebrew. It came from heaven before there was a Hebrew ever around. Before there was ever Noah, before there was Enoch, before there was Adam. That name came directly from heaven. So quit trying to place, flesh and blood restrictions on a name that came from heaven. That don't make no sense. That's when you start confusing yourself. But this is the son here. Now let's go to Matthew 26 and see how he operates. Did you finish it out? Finish out that verse.
In whom I am well pleased.
In whom I am well pleased. Go ahead and hit verse 26, Matthew 26 now. And let's see, when he's showing up, wearing his Father's name, what tools does he start operating on in the night of the Passover? Because the Passover is on the 14th day of the month Abib, right? At evening. At evening. That's when you take the Passover. That's when we take the Passover. So when this happens in Matthew 26, let's see him get ready or get prepared to take up the instruments of his actual priesthood. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 26. Because I'm trying to get y'all somewhere, so I'm not trying to take a whole lot of time taking the scene throughout on this. But we're hitting the main points. Go ahead and hit verse 26.
And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it, and brake it, and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it. So
he's still operating with the bread and the wine. And just in case they think, well, how you know that's wine? That could have been water. Jump down to verse 29. Hit 28 and 29. Might as well hit all. 28 and 29.
For this is my blood of the New Testament.
Because this is when the New Testament begins. Go ahead.
Which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
Right.
But I say unto you,
right?
I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.
Oh, this is so speaking of the fruit of the vine. So that's what this bread and this wine that he's dealing with right here. So you see him picking up the tools of his original priesthood that we read some about and got a glimpse of in Genesis 14. Now, and then when he took that, Abraham, he turned around and got blessed. But now let's go a little bit further. Let's go back to Psalm chapter 3. And let's just show a couple quick instances of what happened next. So, but I'm hitting it back to the Psalms. Psalms chapter 3 and verse 5. Psalms chapter 3 and verse 5. One verse we can get there, go ahead and read. Because we understand what happened before the Passover was completed. Not that night, but before the 24-hour time period was completed. He was on the cross. And then after when he was on the cross, he died. Go ahead and hit verse 5. Psalms 3 and verse 5. When you get there, go ahead and read.
I laid me down and slept.
I laid me down and slept. That's not mean I'm taking a nap. That means he actually died the first death. Go ahead.
I awaked.
But then he awaked. But why did he awake? Go ahead.
For the Lord sustained me.
Because the Father sustained him. The Father made sure that he was not going to see corruption in the grave. That's why he was only in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights, or what we would say is 72 hours. Hence the reason why everyone is messing this up. The main sacrifice, when they say that he died on Good Friday and rose on Easter Sunday, which you cannot get 72 hours out. Basic. But now let's back up to Psalm chapter 2 and pick up at verse 6. Because when he came out the grave, Psalm chapter 2 and verse 6, verse 7 was fulfilled. So we're going to start at verse 6. Go ahead.
Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion.
Right, go ahead.
I will declare the decree.
I will declare the decree. Go ahead.
The Lord hath said unto me.
The Lord said unto me. Go ahead.
Thou art my son.
Thou art my son. Now he was a son on the first half because he was obedient, but he was now the physical son because he finished the race. Thou art my son. Go ahead.
This day have I begotten thee.
This day have I begotten thee. In other words, you have now been born into the spiritual family this day. At this point, he becomes God again. But let's go just a little bit further. Let's go to Psalms 110. Because when he resurrected, this day he was begotten by the Father. But in Psalms 110, he's now given a position that he had before. That's why he told him, Lord, in John 17, give me the glory that I had with thee before the world was. But he's going back to reclaim the position that he had in the first place. He just showed mankind that when you had it, you couldn't deal with it. So I need to take back the priesthood, which he did here. And when he comes back, what's he taking back? In Daniel chapter 7, it says, and the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. He's taking back the kingship also, because he is the original Melchizedek, the king priest.
That's right.
Psalms 110. Give him his due glory.
Praise.
Pick up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
The Lord said unto my Lord.
So this is David saying, the Lord or the Father said unto my Lord. The Lord said unto my Lord. It's two individuals. Go ahead.
Sit thou at my right hand.
Sit at my right hand. Take a seat. Go ahead.
Until I make thine enemies thy footstool.
Until that one verse crushes all kinds of doctrine. Until, in other words, he's getting off that throne. Sit here for a while. Sit with me for a moment. Go ahead.
The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion.
I'm going to send the rod out of Zion. Go ahead.
Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies.
What do kings do? They rule. But it's not automatic. It has to come through a lot of tragedy before the rulership comes. The children of Israel, they came out of Egypt, and then there was in the wilderness for 40 years, but they didn't immediately just get the land and everything was just that easy. There was some more that had to happen. There had to be some turnover, if you will. Like we saw with the last three kings, Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, and Zedekiah. I will overturn. In other words, some blood is going to have to be shed. Go ahead.
Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power.
Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. So this would be a day of his power and it's coming up. But at that point, will his people be willing? That's why he said that, if my kingdom was of this world, well, then will my servants fight. But there's already a psalm dedicated to the saints fighting with a two-edged sword in their hand to execute the judgment written. Go ahead.
In the beauties of holiness, from the womb to the morning.
From the womb of the morning, the beauties of holiness. Go ahead.
Thou hast the dew of thy youth.
You have what you had before. You have the dew of your youth. Go ahead.
The Lord has sworn.
The Father has sworn. Go ahead.
And will not repent.
And will not take it back. Go ahead.
Thou art a priest forever.
So he achieved that one word. Forever. But in that forever, because he was obedient, he also achieved a position which is a priest. Thou art a priest forever. Go ahead.
After the order of Melchizedek.
After the order of Melchizedek, because Melchizedek is the name of a position and not the name by itself. Go ahead and read verse 5.
The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings.
Now, the one on the right hand of the Father, the one on the right hand, that's the one you better be scared of. Because he will strike through kings. Go ahead.
He shall judge among the heathen.
He will strike through kings in the day of his wrath, and he shall judge among the nations. Go ahead.
He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries.
He shall wound the heads over many countries. This is what Peter was telling all those that were gathered at the day of Pentecost that came back to Jerusalem, that this is speaking about Jesus. So they understood who's going to sit on the right hand, but they all understood what he was going to do with the day of his power. That's why they said, men and brethren, what shall we do? Baptize or repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus for the remission of sins, right? So he's not going to tell us to do something that he ain't done. So he got baptized, so what does he want us to do? Get baptized. Because some people turn around with the doctrine and say, well, baptism is done away with. Well, you had Naaman, he got a problem with getting in the water too. He had to dip himself 7 times, and you can't dip yourself once in the name of the intercessor? Jesus? Come on now, where's your faith at? You want some big miracle, but you can't get in the water. Change your life. Get cleaned up and get ready for this kingdom and this king. Go ahead.
He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up
his
head.
He gonna lift up his head. But let's go to Psalm 16 and see, is he just operating as king? Because we see the rulership here. We understand that there's a priesthood here. Let's see him operating in his priesthood. Let's go to Psalm 16 and pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.
Preserve me, O God. For in thee do I put my trust.
Right, exactly. He said, preserve me. That's what happened. He was preserved. He was resurrected. Because he put his trust in the Father. Go ahead.
O my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, thou art my Lord.
Right.
My goodness extendeth not to thee.
Right. In other words, he's saying, my goodness, what I'm getting ready to do with this body is not extended to the Father. Go ahead.
But to the saints that are in the earth.
For all those that are obedient, that have God, the saints that are in the earth. Go ahead.
And to the excellent.
And to the excellent. What do you mean the excellent? Those that have an excellent spirit. Those that are obedient and operating his commandments. Go ahead.
In whom is all my delight.
And who he delights in. Go ahead.
Their sorrow shall be multiplied.
But the other people, their sorrows shall be multiplied. Go ahead.
That hasten after another God.
That hasten after some false worship. Go ahead.
Their drink offering of blood will I not offer.
What do you mean their drink offerings of blood will I not offer? Well, those are tools of a priesthood. But he chooses who to offer up the blood for. So he said, but the blood for these other people that's continue to stay in this position, that's falling after other gods, I'm not offering for them. Go ahead.
Nor take up their names into my lips.
Nor will I take up their names in my lips, which he also reiterated in Matthew chapter 10, verse 33. So I'm not going to be dealing with them because they are trying to operate under me or the Father. In other words, they're being rebellious. But jump down to verse 10. Just to clarify who we're speaking about, verse 10.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
You will not, the Father will not leave his soul, meaning his body, in the grave. That means Sheol, the grave. You will not leave my body in the grave. Go ahead.
Neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One.
Suffer thine what?
Holy One.
So this is the Holy One, right? You will not suffer thine Holy One to what?
To see corruption.
To decompose. 3 days, 3 nights, get up as God. You will not suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. This is what Peter was quoting from this specific verse in Acts chapter 2. But now let's go to Zechariah chapter 6 and show that he has both of these combined while sitting on the throne of David. Zechariah chapter 6, and pick this up at verse 12. Zechariah 6 and verse 12. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And speak unto him, saying,
Hold on, what's that here? A couple more pages. Go ahead.
And speak unto him, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying,
Right.
Behold, the man whose name is the branch.
The man whose name is the branch. But you see all kinds of different names associated with him. That's why we don't get caught up on just the name doctrine, because we understand how to identify him. Just like you don't see anywhere in Deuteronomy 28, African Americans or the children of Israel. You don't see that, do you? But the curses are set upon thee for a sign. So if you can go in the same book and find your own identity, how in the world can you go in the same book and find your God's identity? Go ahead.
Right.
And he shall grow up out of this place. And he shall build the temple of God.
And he's going to build the temple of God. But he's not going to do it physically. He's going to turn around and have Zerubbabel do it. But he's going to resurrect Zerubbabel so he can build the temple. Go ahead.
Even he shall build the temple of the Lord. And he shall bear the glory. And shall sit and rule upon his throne.
And he will sit and rule upon his throne. But even though it was lent out unto some of the kings of the earth, meaning Saul, David, Solomon, David got a chance to put his name on his original throne. Go ahead.
And he shall be a priest upon his throne.
And he's going to be a priest upon his throne. Because he predates Levi. Go ahead.
And the counsel of peace shall be between them both.
And the counsel of peace shall be between them both. That's the end of verse 13? Perfect. Now let's keep it moving and let's go to Hebrews chapter 5. Hebrews 5. Hebrews chapter 5. Because I said all of this, how can I say, preliminary scriptures to set you up to get ready to deal with the book of Hebrews. Because one of the most complex complex books for people to deal with is the book of Hebrews. But we have to walk down all this early scripture, so now we can read this with some understanding. Because when he's breaking down from Paul, from all his writings, the Romans, the Corinthians, the Ephesians, the Galatians, Philippians, such and so forth, it's very introductory. But we're getting directly into some deeper meat when we hit Hebrews. So hit Hebrews chapter 5 and pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
For every high priest taken from among men is ordained for men in things pertaining to God.
Right, just like the Levites. All the high priests were taken from men. Go ahead.
That he may offer both gifts and sacrifices for sins.
Because they have to offer what? Gifts and sacrifices for sins. But we understand that the gifts and sacrifices they were dealing with was dealing with animals. And that couldn't really get the work done. However, it's still a schoolmaster. Go ahead.
Who can have compassion on the ignorant. And on them that are out of the way. For that he himself also is compassed with infirmity.
So he can't pass a whole bunch of judgment on somebody else when he understands that he himself has also fallen short of the glory of God. So he can have some kind of compassion, some kind of mercy, some kind of judgment and long suffering in dealing with people. But jump down to verse 4. Go ahead.
And no man taketh his honor unto himself.
Exactly. In other words, no one can just up and say, yeah, I'm going to be priest this year. Go ahead.
But he that is called of God, as was Aaron.
Right. Now, in other words, it wasn't Aaron's decision. It was put upon Aaron. Just like Moses, he didn't even want to go and deliver the children of Israel. He said, I can't speak well, for I am not eloquent. And the Lord had to remind him who made man's mouth. So no one's exalted himself to do this. The Lord is picking who to do what. Go ahead.
So also Christ glorified not himself to be made an high priest.
So even Christ, you can see nothing about him glorifying himself to be made high priest. He only did the bread and the wine on the night of the Passover when it was about him and not about an actual lamb. Go ahead.
But he that said unto him.
But he that said unto him, in other words, he received the instruction. Go ahead.
Thou art my son.
Thou art my son. Go ahead.
Today have I begotten thee.
Did we read that earlier? Did we read that earlier in Acts chapter 2? Yeah. I'm sorry, Psalms chapter 2. Go ahead.
As he said also in another place.
As he said in another place, go ahead.
Thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek.
Didn't we just read that in Psalms 110? So why is it in the New Testament they are quoting all this Old Testament? Because a real preacher or minister or servant of God should be taking to the Old Testament and then bringing to the New Testament and giving you the understanding by way of the Holy Ghost.
Right.
Because if they don't speak according to this word, meaning the old and the new, the law and the testimony, there is no light in them. No understanding. So it doesn't matter how great you speak, as long as someone's able to for you, and you get the understanding, that's coming directly from God. Everyone that's doing all this ain't nothing but a vessel. Because the Lord said in the house of the Lord, I got vessels of honor and vessels of dishonor.
Right.
So it's all about all of us, including me sitting right here, to try to be a vessel of honor to the best of my ability. Go ahead and jump to, is that the end of verse 9?
That was the end of verse 6.
Verse 6, okay, keep going, keep going.
Who in the days of his flesh.
And who, in the days of whose flesh?
His
In the days of his flesh. You mean Melchizedek was in flesh at one point? Well, we have understanding now, we can recognize that. Go ahead. Who in the days of his flesh? Go ahead.
When he had offered up prayers and supplications.
Offered up prayers and supplications. Go ahead.
With strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death. And was heard in that he feared.
Right. Go ahead.
Though he were a son, yet learned he obedience.
Even though he said, this is my son in whom I am well pleased, yet learned he obedience, because he said, not my will be done, Lord, but thy will. He didn't, how can I say, turn yellow hearted at the last second. Go ahead.
By the things which he suffered.
By the things which he suffered through obedience. Go ahead.
And being made perfect.
Now that's what happened on the back end. And being made perfect, he came up with a perfect body. Go ahead.
He became an author of eternal salvation,
right,
unto all them that obey him.
Unto all of them that obey him. In other words, if you show how well you are obedient, then when other people that's learned to be obedient, I'm going to let them come directly to you, because you can give the best example, because you did it too. Is that the end of verse 9?
That was 9.
Hit verse 10.
Called of God and high priest.
So he was called not by himself, he was called of the Father. A high priest. Go ahead.
After the order of Melchizedek.
After the order of Melchizedek. Now let's go to Hebrews chapter 6 and pick this up at verse 18. Hebrews 6 and verse 18, because we're walking this down a little bit. I could have hit a lot more in Hebrews, but I have to hit some of the main points that we've been dealing with all afternoon. Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 18. Go ahead.
That by two immutable things, in which it was impossible for God to lie.
It's impossible for God to lie. Go ahead.
We might have a strong consolation who have fled for refuge to lay hold upon the hope set before us.
We have some strong consolation. Hit verse 19.
Which hope we have as an anchor, as an anchor of soul.
Right. In other words, an anchor keeps you steady. An anchor keeps you grounded. An anchor helps prevent you from going to and fro off different winds of doctrine. Anchor, go ahead.
Both sure and steadfast.
Sure and steadfast. That's why they talk about don't be building your house upon no sand. You build it upon a rock. Go ahead.
And which entereth into that within the veil.
Which entereth into that within the veil. Because the veil represents what was separating the holy to the most holy place. In other words, when you go past the veil, you are going to commune with God. Go ahead. Or on the Day of Atonement, sprinkle blood 7 times in front of the Ark of the Covenant and 1 time on the mercy seat. But that's all about a big message of what he's dealing with mankind. But we aren't going there today. But go ahead.
Whether the forerunner is for us entered.
Whether the forerunner is for us entered. Jesus the forerunner or the captain. Go ahead.
Even Jesus.
Even Jesus. Go ahead.
Made an high priest forever. After the order of Melchizedek.
Made the high priest forever after that same order. So when we're reading Psalms 110, we understand when it said the Lord said to my Lord, that it was David that was saying Jesus is the one that's my Lord. The Son is the one that's my Lord. The Son is the one that's been guiding us throughout this entire Old Testament. Go ahead.
For this Melchizedek.
Okay, yeah, you're right. We're going directly to Hebrews 7 and verse 1. For this Melchizedek, now we're going to break down the characteristics of Melchizedek from Genesis 14 and show how it ties up with Christ. Go ahead.
King of Salem.
King of Salem. This is the King of Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Priest of the Most High God.
He was the priest of the Most High. Go ahead.
Who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings.
Jesus met with Abraham from the slaughter of the kings. That's why he had the tools of his own priesthood that we read in Matthew 26. Go ahead.
And blessed him.
And blessed him. Go ahead.
To whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all.
And Abraham paid tithes unto him. Gave a 10th, because that's what tithe means, a 10th. Go ahead.
First being by interpretation king of righteousness.
Because he is the king of righteousness. Go ahead.
And after that also king of Salem.
And after that he's also king of Jerusalem or king of peace. Go ahead.
Which is king of peace.
Go ahead, hit verse 3.
Without father.
So that's why I don't get caught up in the whole Joseph, is Joseph the father or not? This isn't fraternity court. You have to understand this scripture and prophecy. Go ahead.
Without mother?
Without mother. Don't be caught up on, well, she would be worshiping and venerating Mary. No, because she was just a vessel that was showing forth the power of him that I can use this womb however I choose. Go ahead.
Without descent.
He don't have no descent. He don't have no children, so don't be looking for no bloodline that was, or like he had kids or anything. Go ahead.
Having neither beginning of days.
That's why we don't look for a birthday for him either. Because he don't have no beginning of days when your name's already called Ancient of Days. Go ahead.
Nor end of life.
Nor end of life. That's why we don't act like he was just a man like they do in Islam when they say peace be upon him. Because we're going to say that he got about the grave, like we just read in Psalm chapter 3, right? I seek, I'm the way for the Lord has sustained me. Go ahead.
But made like unto the Son of God.
But made like unto the Son of God. That was happened at his resurrection. That was what we read in Psalm chapter 2. That the Lord has begotten, behold, thou art my son this day, for I have begotten thee. Go ahead.
Abideth a priest continually.
Oh, he abides a priest continually. That means everlasting. No stop, no breaks in it. Go ahead.
Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave a tenth of the spoils.
Now look, man, in other words, they were holding Abraham real high. But they said, consider how great this man, whom even the person we would, celebrate real high and say we're the descendants of Abraham, who is he paying tithes to? That's what he's trying to get them to see. Go ahead.
And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who received the office of the priesthood.
And now he's saying not only Abraham, because Levites weren't even born when Abraham was meeting with Melchizedek. So while Levites were still in the loins of their father Abraham, by default, they are paying homage to Melchizedek, the real king priest. Go ahead.
Have a commandment to take tithes of the people.
So they have a commandment to take tithes of the people. Go ahead.
According to the law. That is.
Well, they don't tell you that in Sunday church. Do that. That tithing, they have commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law. Well, why isn't it they keep them to Malachi chapter 3 trying to get tithes from the people and then not trying to give them no law? Why are you paying for that which is not bread?
That's right.
Because Jesus said, I'm the bread.
Yes, sir.
But we just read that the bread was back here in the Old Testament, and they run you directly from Jesus. Go ahead.
That is, their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham.
Though they come out of the loins of Abraham. In verse 6.
But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham. And blessed him that had the promise.
They blessed Melchizedek who had the promises. Go ahead.
And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better.
That's why when we go to Genesis 14, when it says, and he blessed him, we understand who blessed who. The less is blessed of the better. Okay? Let's go ahead and jump down to verse 11. When you get there, go ahead and read.
If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law.
Under it the people received the law and will sacrifice. Go ahead.
What further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek?
Exactly. So in other words, if you let me back up. Hit verse 11 from the top. I want to break it down another way. 11 from the top. Go ahead.
If therefore perfection.
In other words, to walk before the Lord perfect. Go ahead.
Were by the Levitical priesthood.
Or by the Levites. In other words, if it came from them, then what did Abraham have to obey? What did Isaac have to obey? What did Jacob have to obey? What did Joseph have to obey when he was down dealing with Egypt and Potiphar's wife tries to deal with him? No Levites were around at that time. Go ahead.
For under it, the people received the law.
Now what law did they receive? This is the law and will sacrifice. Perfection, or how can I say, having your sins clean does not come by killing of a red heifer. From 2 atonement goats, from the Passover lamb, from the heave offering, the peace offering. It doesn't come from these animal sacrifices. Go ahead.
What further need was there that another priest should rise?
What further need? There was a need still there that had not been fulfilled. Because the blood of animals or bulls and goats cannot take away sins. So there needs to be someone that can still take away sins. What further need? Go ahead.
Was there that another priest should
that
rise?
Another priest should rise. And when he came from amongst our brethren, like it said in Deuteronomy 18. But he did not come up directly as a priest. He came up directly as an obedient servant and was baptized by a Levite priest, so that when it was time for him to obtain the priesthood, he got it after he finished his entire mission. He got it at the end of his race. Go ahead.
After the order of Melchizedek.
After the order of Melchizedek. Go ahead.
And not be called after the order of Aaron.
Because he came from the tribe of Judah. He didn't come from the Levites or what they call the seed of Aaron. Go ahead.
For the priesthood being changed.
Actually, you finished verse 11, right?
Yeah, I finished 11.
Okay, verse 11. Keep going.
For the priesthood being changed.
The priesthood has been changed. Go ahead.
There is made of necessity a change also of the law.
There is a change needed of these animal sacrifices. That's why we don't deal with it. We can still keep all the holy days and not be killing animals on them, right? We can still feast before the Lord, right? But we are saying that this animal that is put forth is for our sins. No, we're going to still fulfill that part. Go ahead.
For he of whom these things are spoken are taken to another tribe.
Because all this stuff that we've been reading about is speaking of another tribe. It's not speaking about the tribe of Levi. Go ahead.
Of which no man gave attendance at the altar.
Of which no man, there was never someone from the tribe of Judah giving attendance at the altar. And the time when someone was trying to do that, the king got leprosy in his head, and that's why the priest said, "Get him out of here. This does not pertain unto thee." And he became a leper for the rest of his life because he was trying to do what this tribe was given to do. Breaking the order. Go ahead and hit verse 14.
For it is evident.
For it is evident. That is the root word when you get the word evidence. In other words, proof. For it is evident. Go ahead.
That our Lord.
That what?
Our Lord.
That what?
Our Lord.
Our Lord. This is the Hebrew speaking to Hebrews, and they're speaking about our Lord, the one that delivered them from Egypt. It is evident that our Lord, go ahead,
sprang out of Judah.
Sprang from where?
Out of Judah.
He came out the tribe of Judah. He had to become flesh. Before, we just read that a son has been given unto us. When he came by way of a virgin, but he came out of the tribe of Judah, not out of Levi. Because Judah was a tribe that started having kingship. It started with Saul and Benjamin, and then it went to David, and it stayed with Judah from that time on. But when the real one is going to get this thing, is he's not only going to get the kingship, he's going to get the priesthood also. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
They say nothing about Judah being a priest. Go ahead.
And it is yet far more evident.
It is far more evident. Go ahead.
For that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there ariseth another priest.
Now, it's far more evident that after the same similitude of Melchizedek, what we read in the first half of the Bible, we're seeing someone else fulfilling other parts of the Bible, like Psalms 110. In other words, he's connecting Genesis 14 with Jesus. Again, go ahead.
Who was made.
Who was made, go ahead.
Not after the law of carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life.
After the power of an endless life. That's why it says he abides a priest continually. Go ahead.
Where he testified, thou art a priest forever.
So, because yet again the Father said, thou art a priest forever. Go ahead.
After the order of Melchizedek.
You see how he's holding close to that Psalms 110 where they can't run? You can't get around Psalms 110. He is binding them to this, let them see it over and over and over and over. And he keeps using the Old Testament to verify and to solidify yet again that Jesus is Lord. And Jesus is also the high priest. That's the end of verse 17?
17.
Okay, jump down to verse 21. Go ahead.
For those priests were made without an oath.
The priests were made without an oath. In other words, if you were just a descendant of Aaron, okay, I'm a priest because I'm a descendant, right? Go ahead.
But this was with an oath by him that said unto him.
But this priest was made by oath that him said unto him. In other words, the Father said unto the Son. He wasn't just born in it. No, he earned this. Go ahead.
The Lord sware.
The Lord sware. Go ahead.
And will not repent.
Right?
Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
Our man needs to keep a tally how many times they keep taking the Psalms 110. But they keep telling you that Old Testament done away with the Old Testament fulfilled. Right. But they don't understand that he says that you're going to see him on my right hand until you're going to do X, Y, and Z. All that needs to be fulfilled. We still in the New Testament, right? Just check. Go ahead.
By so much was Jesus made a surety.
By so much was who made a surety?
Jesus.
Right, because the Father swore unto him, and that is a sure foundation. Go ahead.
Of a better testament.
Of a better testament. Go ahead.
And they truly were made many priests.
And there was a lot of priests, but go ahead.
Because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death.
But they had to have a lot of priests because they cannot continue in their office. They cannot continue serving because they still have that glitch throne that came from Adam. Death. Go ahead.
But this man,
go ahead.
because he continueth forever.
Because he continueth forever, go ahead.
Have an unchangeable priesthood.
You cannot change my priesthood no more. Even though the Levites had a changeable priesthood. The priest could die out of office, and then their son take it over, and their son take it over. In fact, you can understand that because the high priest, the first high priest that you had from the Levitical priesthood was Aaron, but Aaron was told to go up in the mount and take all this stuff off and put it on your son and die. So he had a changeable priesthood. I would put other people in that position. Go ahead.
Wherefore he is able also to save them.
Wherefore, who's also? Wherefore he is able also to save. You mean Melchizedek can save? Who's that really in Genesis 14? I'm harping on this point over and over and over and over and over. So that way when y'all hear some foolishness, you can say, no, the book says otherwise. Go ahead.
Them to the uttermost that come unto God by him.
That come unto God by him? You mean he is the door, right? Go ahead. Come to God by him. Go ahead.
Seeing he ever liveth.
Seeing he ever lived. Go ahead. So not only ever living, because even if you had Levites that lived forever, which that wasn't the case, they still had to go to sleep. I'm reading this book that this guy don't sleep at all. He's always awake. Night is just like day to him, as it said. Go ahead.
To make intercession for them.
To make intercession. Go ahead.
For such an high priest became us.
Now, verse 26 ties it together. It binds it tight. So you understand who that is in Genesis 14. For such a high priest became us. Put on flesh. Partook in this fleshly carnal commandment. For such a high priest became us.
One of us. That's right.
Go ahead.
Who is holy.
Who is holy. So we know who is the Holy One of Israel. Go ahead.
Harmless.
Who was harmless when he came in the flesh. He ain't harmed nobody. But we understand his old record. Go ahead.
Undefiled.
Undefiled. We know who remained clean and never defiled his temple. Go ahead.
Separate from sinners.
Who know, same thing, always sanctifies himself from sinners. Go ahead. And then this is those that want to stay sinners. Go ahead. Because we all have, like I said, sin and falling short. However, those of us that's trying to change our ways, he's coming near to us, like the prodigal son. He see you coming to him, he run, hug you, and put a cape on, give him the golden ring, kill a fatted calf, for my son was lost, and now is found. But separate from those that want to stay in sin. Go ahead.
And made higher than the heavens.
And made higher than the heavens. Who went up to the heavens? In Acts chapter 1. Go ahead.
Who needed not daily.
Now, who needs not daily? Because they had daily sacrifices, right? Morning, noon, evening, morning, noon, evening, all these kinds of sacrifices. But he don't need no sacrifices for him. Go ahead.
As those high priests.
As those other high priests, go ahead.
To offer up sacrifice.
Right, because if I took you to Leviticus 16, it will show you the two atonement goats. And before he dealt with the two atonement goats, he had to deal with this whole separate animal to sacrifice for his own sins. But he don't need to deal with that. He can get right to the business. Go ahead.
First for his own sins.
First for his own sins. Go ahead.
And then for the people.
And then for the people's. Go ahead.
For this he did once.
For this he did one time. That's why we keep the Passover one time. We don't keep it monthly. We don't keep it every season. We keep it in its season, which is once a month on the 14th day of the month, Abib at evening. Go ahead.
When he offered up himself.
When he offered up himself. So this isn't just a priest dealing with the blood of others. He's over here dealing with the blood of himself. Go ahead to verse 28.
For the law maketh men high priests, which have infirmity.
Right, because the law makes the descendants of Aaron high priests, but they got infirmities, they got weaknesses. It's times when they unclean. That's why they constantly clean themselves up to deal with the tabernacle. Go ahead.
But the word of the oath, which was since the law maketh the Son.
Maketh who?
The Son.
Make it the Son. Go ahead.
Who is consecrated forevermore.
Who is consecrated forevermore. That same Son was around on the front half. We got 3 more places. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 12. And we got 2 more spots. Y'all are almost there. And no one went to sleep yet. I'll take that back. Let's go too soon. Rashad's fault. Isaiah chapter 12. And we're going to pick this up at verse 2. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a little fun, but this right here is very serious. Because blessed are your ears for they hear and your eyes for they see. Because there's many people that don't see this basic stuff right here. Isaiah chapter 12 and verse 2. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Behold, God is my salvation.
God is my salvation. Go ahead.
I will trust and not be afraid.
Right.
For the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song.
Oh, well, we took it back. For the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song. Go ahead.
He also is become my salvation.
He also is become. Become requires a transition to take place. Become means something has happened. Becomes means something has transpired. He also is become my salvation. Because it's one thing for him to die. But our salvation comes from the fact that he got up and is on the right hand of the Father to intercede for our sins. Go ahead.
Therefore with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation.
Jump down to verse 6. Or no, verse 4. Verse 4. I'm sorry.
And in that day shall ye say, praise the Lord.
Right.
Call upon his name.
Call upon his name. Now this is what those who understand. In that day, praise the Lord, call upon his name, go ahead.
Declare his doings among the people.
Somebody has to declare his doings among the people. Someone has to put the right identity on him so they can do this. Because they can't say, well, someone else did this half and someone else did this half of the book. Declare his doings among the people. That's why he said in Isaiah chapter 43, ye are my witnesses. That's why someone that's calling himself a Jehovah's Witness cannot bring forth his praise because they didn't even identify who he is. It's the children of Israel that's supposed to be the witnesses that's putting forth his praise, the right identity, and giving forth the excellent things that he's done in the earth. Go ahead.
Make mention that his name is exalted.
Make mention that his name is exalted. But he's not exalting the name Jehovah, he's exalting the Father's name. That's why you read about the Lamb that stood on Mount Zion with the Father's name in their foreheads. In Revelation 14, verse 1. Go ahead and hit verse 6.
Cry out and shout, thou inhabitant of Zion. For great is the Holy One of Israel.
Great is the Holy One of Israel. Go ahead.
In the midst of thee.
In the midst of thee. Let's go to Psalms 68. And let's tie it down to one more spot, and I'm going to show how Paul understood very clearly who this was. I could have took y'all to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, where it lets you know that that rock was Christ. I could have took you to Hebrews 11, and let you know that Moses esteemed the reproach of Christ. But I'm going to keep it very simple, and just hit Psalm 68, and let Paul tell you who it's talking about. Psalm 68, and pick it up at verse 4. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Sing unto God. Sing praises to his name.
Sing praises to his name. Go ahead.
Exalt him that rideth upon the heavens by his name.
Exalt him that rideth upon the heavens, the clouds. Go ahead. By his name. Go ahead.
Jah.
Jah. That's J-A-H, right? That's short for Jehovah. By his name, Jah. Go ahead.
And rejoice before him.
And rejoice before him. Jump down to verse 18. Go ahead.
Thou hast ascended on high.
Thou, talking about Jah, has ascended upon high. Go ahead.
Thou hast led captivity captive.
Thou
hast received gifts for men.
He has received gifts for men. Go ahead.
Yeah. For the rebellious also.
Oh, even for the rebellious. He got a gift for you, all right. It's called the lake of fire. It's called death. Go ahead.
That the Lord God might dwell among them.
That the Lord God might dwell among them. Now let's close it up at Ephesians chapter 4. Because that's the only spot in the entire Bible you can see the word Jah. Even though you hear a lot of people saying Yah this, Yah that, Jah this, Jah that. It's only here once. That like Lucifer's all over the Bible. It's only in Isaiah 14. It's only in there once. Right. But you have to understand where everything goes because the name Jesus is all over the book. Let me clarify, all over the new book. But the name Jehovah is in the old book. In fact, the name Jehovah is in here specifically 4 times. So if someone else gives you a little gray book and it's in there 238 times, you know someone done messed up the gumbo. Someone done switched up the recipe. Ephesians chapter 4. Gotta be careful with all that customization. You even see some of the largest companies, the largest franchises, you know, McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A. They have a specific way in order for you to make the food, to make the sandwiches, to make the recipes. And when you deviate from that, you have deviated from the franchise. But this right here is our franchisee book. Don't deviate from this and start making your own, because if you do that, you have messed up the recipe, and just like those other restaurants be closed down, so can you.
Amen to that.
I'm only speaking about food because I'm wrong. Ephesians chapter 4, and pick it up at verse 7. When you get there, go ahead and read.
But unto every one of us is given grace.
Every one of us, that's true. Every single one of us has received some sort of grace. Especially when we first come in. We make a lot of mistakes, but we get better. We grow from it. Every one of us has received grace. Go ahead.
According to the measure of the gift of Christ.
According to the measure, who's doling it out? Christ. The measure of the gift of Christ. Go ahead. So we know that Christ is the name of, that means Messiah, but he's pointing you to Jesus Christ. Let's make sure y'all see that. Go ahead.
Wherefore he saith.
Wherefore he saith. Who saith? Christ saith. Go ahead.
When he ascended upon high.
When he ascended upon high. Go ahead.
He led captivity captive.
He led captivity captive. Go ahead.
And gave gifts unto men.
And gave gifts unto men. Who said that? Christ said that. So who is God? Jesus Christ. Under which order? The order of Melchizedek, the priest king, or the priest and the king that became the priest king. I thank you for your time.